This is a really big subwoofer box for a huge subwoofer. It's not quite finished yet. I'm going to triple up on the baffles. I still need to attach the outer baffles, slap some stain in it, and then install the subwoofer. Let's rewind a little bit so I can show you how I got to this point in the build. The subwoofer is a DVX 18. I'll be sure to give you a link down in the video description so you can check it out. The darn thing is huge, man. It weighs about 70 pounds. The mounting depth is just shy of 12 inches. The outside diameter is about 18.5 inches. The specs say it can handle 1700 watts RMS, but it really looks like it can take a whole lot more. If you've never had the chance to experience a monster subwoofer like this, you really need to. The camera just does not do it justice. The real advantage to a big 18 like this is not the power handling, it's not the overall output, it's the ability to dig down low and hit those earth-shaking bass notes. It's got a resonant frequency of about 30 hertz, so in the right box, this thing is going to rattle your bones. You can see what I'm talking about right here in WinISD. This is what I use to design my subwoofer enclosures. If you tune it to 28 hertz, it'll have an F3 of 24 hertz. That number, the F3, that's the point where your output is down by 3 decibels. And a 3 decibel drop means you've lost half your musical power. Compare that to what you would get in a more normal subwoofer. Here's a box I designed for a 10. It's tuned to 34 hertz and its F3 is closer to 28 hertz. That might not seem like a big difference, but ported enclosures roll off at 24 decibels per octave below the tuning frequency. You can see it right here on the chart. It has a very steep drop in output below the tuning frequency. Now you can take that 10 and you can tune it lower to get the same low end extension as the 18, but when you do that, you lose a lot of output in that 30 to 40 hertz range. It's a matter of physics. Big subwoofers can do things that small subwoofers just can't do. So if you can use a bigger subwoofer, use a bigger subwoofer. The big downside, you're going to need a bigger box. Speaking of the box, anytime you design a box, you should design it in a way that makes your life easier. Plywood, for example, is 48 inches wide, MDF is 49 inches. So if you had the room in your vehicle, make the box the same width as the material. That'll mean fewer cuts and less time spent cutting. For a box this size, you want to use plywood to save weight. In this case, I'm going to use a little bit of scrap MDF from previous projects for some of the interior parts. As for the bracing, with a huge box and a huge sub, you want a ton of bracing to keep the panels from resonating. I like to add a brace at the end of the port. That piece is going to be the exact same size as the first port wall. And you want to cut these two pieces at the same time so they're exactly the same size. For a project this big, you're going to want a second brace that's the same size as the sides of the enclosures. More on bracing in a little bit. Since I've got a CNC machine, I figure why not use it for the speaker cutouts. A router with a circle jig will get the job done just as well. And that's what I used to use back in the day. Here's a picture from an early attempt at speaker building a literal decade ago. It's easy to think that this garage full of tools materialized overnight. The truth is, anybody watching can pick up a few basic tools and start building boxes. And if you just slowly add tools over time, you'll be surprised with how many tools you end up collecting. The only reason why I can afford all these tools is because of people like you watching these videos and providing direct financial support over on Patreon. If you'd like to support me over on Patreon, you can get your name in the video like these guys right down here, or get a big shout out like Jonathan, Joaquin, JD America, Timothy, and Bo. Okay, back to the box. These complicated window style braces take a lot of time and effort to cut out. I don't personally think they're worth doing over on the router table, but with a CNC machine, you can make any shape and you can make them with virtually no effort. It's a good idea to do all this work in separate stages. All this cutting generates a ton of sawdust. Even when you've got good dust collection, the sawdust gets everywhere. The goal is to do all the cutting all at the same time, clean up all that sawdust and move on to the next step, which is the assembly process. Take the two port walls and the brace and attach them all together, and when you're done, you'll have a port assembly that you can insert into the rest of the enclosure. Okay, I've made a mistake. I got a little bit ahead of myself. I'll show you what I'm talking about right here. I went ahead and installed a brace here and here that's going to go inside the port. Before installing them, I should have put a chamfer or a round over or something on this inner edge of the port. With these installed, I can't do them on my router table. So I have to go handheld here. I've got a 1/2 inch 45-degree chamfer router bit in here, and it's going to make a ton of dust. So here we go. Okay, moving on to the rest of the enclosure. Attach the back to the bottom. You can see in this shot I'm using some big parallel clamps. I've got a love-hate relationship with these things. The best part about them is they get the workpiece up off the table so I can slide in additional clamps and have more clearance for the nail gun. But the clamps aren't 90 degrees. For a project like this where you want to make sure everything is as square as possible, grab some of these right angle clamps and clap on a few more bar clamps before you start driving the brad nails. And yes, I am using brad nails, not screws. Brad nails and wood glue are plenty strong. If I'm wrong and the box rips apart, then we'll all know that I'm wrong, and I'll admit to being wrong. But it's never failed me yet. Here's a pro tip, use a piece of scrap to make sure your sides are flush with the back and the bottom before clamping it into place and driving your brad nails. Okay, so I just messed something up. I'll show you what I'm talking about right here. All right, you can see the mistake right here. I dropped this piece. This is one of my sides. So this is going to cause a gap. There's going to be a leak here. What do you do when you make a mistake like this? How do you fix something like that? Super easy, barely an inconvenience. All I gotta do is take one of these corner 45s and stick it in that corner. This piece is gonna be over on the port, and you should probably put a corner 45 in the port anyways. The material I'm using is not birch, it's actually maple. And of course, plywood's just pine, no matter what the outer veneer is. Next, install the port assembly from earlier. You can clamp it into place and then turn over the box and drive some brad nails, or just take a break and let the glue dry. I didn't catch it on film, but back when I was cutting up the sheet goods on the table saw, I made a few of these pieces right here. These are about 3 inches wide with 45-degree bevels on both sides. This is an easy and effective way to brace an enclosure. Just bust a few of these out and tack them to the walls in really random locations. I'm gonna put one on the back of the enclosure, like right behind where the subwoofers are gonna be, and then one on the bottom just offset from that. Then I will install that window brace, which I don't think I got any footage of that. Moving on to the baffle, I want to show you a little trick right here. What you want to do is you want to line up one corner and tack it down. And then you got to be careful because with that one nail in place, that big baffle can pivot out of position and you don't want that. So you go to another side and you line it up and tack it in place as well. And now it's not going anywhere. Move over to the other corners, make sure those are in position, tack them down. And after you get 4 corners tacked down, you can go around the entire piece. Before adding the top, this is your last chance to add any bracing to the enclosure. I went around the enclosure and put some battens in the corners and along some of the edges, especially around where the subwoofer mounts. As you can see in this shot right here, the top is in place, but it's not fitting down nice and clean. So here's a tip for you. Grab some clamps and push it down into position. It's a good idea to have a few clamps on hand. You want to take those clamps, make sure everything is all snug together before you start nailing this piece down. This is a really big project. It's going to take 2 videos to show it all, so hit the subscribe button right here so you don't miss part 2. I'm Justin. This is the DIY Audio Guy YouTube channel, and I will see you on the next adventure.